Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. So the Galaxy Guide for Starfinder 2nd Edition has come out recently, and I did a video talking about all the cool places and campaign ideas that the book has. If you missed it, there should be a link on screen to it right now. Quick reminder, Paizo gave me a free copy of this book, but in no other way is reimbursing me, so thank you to Paizo for helping me out. Anyway, in that first video, I didn't have time to talk about the 6 new ancestries in the book, and let me tell you, there is a ton of new ancestry content to go over, way more than most Pathfinder ancestry options. I won't be able to cover all options, so I'm just going to cover a few standouts that I like. Let's go over them now. First let me say that these ancestries were designed for Starfinder, and while the rule system for Pathfinder and Starfinder are compatible, meaning mechanically you can play Starfinder ancestries in Pathfinder 2e, it may not be balanced for Pathfinder 2e. Just as one example, flight is far more common in Starfinder, and that may throw off the balance if you brought that into Pathfinder, so just keep that in mind. You may want to tweak these ancestries slightly if playing them in Pathfinder. Talk to your GM is all I'm saying. Okay, now let's get into it. First off, I just want to note that none of these ancestries are uncommon, though some of their options are, so they should all be playable in most Starfinder games, even if your GM disallows uncommon or rare options. Still, of course, talk to your GM about your character, but it's nice to see that they don't have the uncommon or rare tag. Also, remember, the way I normally do things is that I talk about the base ancestry, call out their heritages, and some standout ancestry feats, and then I'll give my final opinion at the end. I just don't have the time to go over all of the ancestry feats. First up are Astrozoans. Astrozoans are kind of one of the big new ancestries for Starfinder. They are an 8 HP, medium-sized aberration with a land speed of 25 feet. Their attribute modifications are a boost to dexterity, charisma, and a free boost with a flawed constitution. They have low light vision and, importantly, the change shape ancestry ability. This lets them, as a single action, disguise themselves as any ancestry from small to large. Now, their native shape is a giant starfish monster, but you can remain in the shape-changed form indefinitely. You do have to have seen the ancestry before to know what to turn into, but that's about it. This is a crazy ancestry ability. Astrozoans can even impersonate a specific humanoid when they do this. This basically makes it better than the second rank spell humanoid form in a number of ways. The drawback is you don't gain any new abilities when turning into another ancestry, however. So if an Astrozoan turns into, say, a Barathu, they don't gain that Barathu's fly speed, so do keep that in mind. Astrozoans have 5 heritages. Aquazoan gives them a swim speed and the ability to breathe underwater even if they are in some other form, like a halfling or something. Assimilated Astrozoans are really deeply ingrained into one society and can choose ancestry feats from that other ancestry. If they choose an ancestry feat that requires biology, such as Shiren's basic insectile flight, they'll need to be in Shiren form to use it. Cloned Astrozoans are better at resisting disease and polymorph effects. Construct Copycat allows them to turn into small or medium-sized constructs like robots, and also gives them a free cybernetic augmentation. And Wild Astrozoans can only turn into one other ancestry, but can also cast pest form on themselves at will to turn into any tiny animal. So there are a lot of Astrozoan feats that they can take that let them better impersonate other species. For example, Ancestral Physiology lets them choose an ancestry and gain that ancestry's natural attack, like a Vesk's Bite, though they can only do it in ancestry form. Friendly Face lets them pretend to be anyone, and they don't even need to roll a deception check to be that person unless the person they're trying to deceive knows them really well, or they are acting wildly out of character. Finally, there is a level 5 feat that lets them have the multiple appendages of a Kasatha or a Skittermander. As a GM, I'd rule that they could impersonate one of those ancestries without the feat, but the extra limbs would be completely useless, dangling loosely by their sides, unless they had this feat. There are some other fun feats too, like being able to have suction cups to climb, allowing them to climb even if they are not in Astrozoan starfish form, or Shifting Smuggler allows them to hide an item in their body as they shapeshift around the object when they change shape. My favorite feat by far is I'm the Real One, which lets them take the form of another person when they are grabbed or they are grappling, psyching out opponents and allies alike as to who's the real one and who's the shapeshifter. Love that they included that trope as a game mechanic.
Hit her with the axe! Don't listen to her, Dipper! She's the shapeshifter!
I don't know who's who!
And if you are sad that you can only shapeshift into PC Ancestries, never fear, there is a level 13 feat that lets you turn into any small or medium-sized creature, so long as you're a master in the relevant lore skills, such as entomology lore for bugs or fae lore for fae. There's even a level 17 ancestry feat that lets them shapeshift into a healthier version of themselves, giving them regeneration once a day. Now onto my opinion for the ancestry. Starting off with a positive, this is just what everybody was asking for. A lot of D&D players coming over to Pathfinder have been disappointed that there's no shapeshifter ancestry. They basically want the D&D changeling ancestry from Eberron, not Pathfinder's half-hag changeling. And this is that ancestry. Downside is that I think it's a little too powerful. The ability to impersonate specific people with just a deception check just makes it better than several spells. I maybe would house rule that you couldn't specifically impersonate somebody without the friendly face feat. But listen, that's a minor nitpick. I love the theming, I love the flavor, it's exactly what the community has been asking for. Next up are the Contemplatives, who are basically the big floating brains from Futurama, but with tiny little spindly bodies underneath. Also, most of them have the personality of an internet troll. Seriously, they are so convinced that they are right that they are willing to form guerrilla resistance movements just to prove how right they are. Listen to this. Being targeted by secret police or silenced by spies just motivates that contemplative to overthrow an evil regime to prove a point, not out of any sense of moral principle. These are truly the most pettiest of ancestries. Contemplatives are a 6 HP, medium-sized aberration with a land speed of only 5 feet due to those spindly bodies, but a fly speed of 20 feet. Their attribute adjustments are a bonus to intelligence and charisma and a free boost, but with a penalty to strength. They have low light vision, thought sense, which is interesting, and limited telepathy, which means that they can telepathically communicate with someone within 30 feet if they share a language, but they can't otherwise read people's minds. They also have a downside, atrophied, which means that they have a reduced bulk limit and have penalties using weapons with 2 or more bulk. There are 5 heritages. Imperious Contemplative is funny, though I'm not sure how useful it would be. Basically, as a reaction, if a thinking creature within 30 feet suffers a negative mental effect, the Contemplative has such a case of schadenfreude that they gain temporary hit points and can throw off any persistent mental damage they are taking. Irreproachable Contemplatives have mental resistance and are harder to mind control. Manifested Contemplatives get a free occult cantrip. Retrograde Contemplatives get some bonus HP and get rid of that atrophied negative quality as their bigger bodies are a bit less spindly. Lastly, Thoughtseeker Contemplatives can cast Detect Thoughts at will, and their thought sense extends out a bit more. Contemplative ancestry feats are largely what you'd expect, lots of mental and intellectual abilities. Esoteric Education gives them the additional lore feat twice, which is crazy good for certain campaigns where you know what you'll be facing. Mind Render is an innate, unarmed, ranged attack that does mental damage, on theme but probably not that great unless paired with something like an Investigator or Thaumaturge that boosts damage. Brainsplain is basically super recall knowledge as you download an arrogant lecture into your friend's brain about the creature you just recalled knowledge against. Infodump lets you telepathically infodump pointless trivia into an enemy, potentially stupefying them. Off the top of my head lets you recover a focus point again. Speed of Thought lets you fly faster, all that good stuff. I like this one feat here that lets a contemplative manipulate things with telekinesis as if they had extra hands. Very flavorful. And of course at level 17 you can make a galaxy-brained move, literally, by making yourself quicken for a minute a day, but only for certain mental abilities. I like the Contemplative, very fun, very flavorful. Love the puns on their abilities. Kinda grossed out by playing a giant flying telekinetic brain with a spindly body, but that's just a me thing. I do like the inclusion of Retrograde Contemplative as an option, so that you can make a Soldier Contemplative or whatever. I appreciate that. Makes it so that you can have the fantasy of being a tiny little guy, but still gives the option of playing whatever you want to play. Next up are the Dragonkin, the other race that people got excited about because, dragon. That's actually the history of the race. Dragons and humanoids from Triaxis who loved each other would do some sort of complex magical ritual so that they could have a kid together, and that became a Dragonkin. Over time, these Dragonkin formed a society on Triaxis, Oh, and now they're born naturally. It was just those first Dragonkin that were made through a magical ritual. This ancestry is a 10 HP large humanoid with the dragon trait. Like humans, they get any 2 free attribute boosts with no flaws. Their speed is only 20 feet, but they have a fly speed of 20 from level 1, so that's great. They have 2 special abilities, one is Dark Vision and the other is Partner Bond, which is unique. I'll let you read it on screen now, but essentially what it does is let you choose someone, and as long as that someone was within 60 feet of you, you two can communicate telepathically. But the partner bond is permanent. You do not get to make a new one unless your current partner dies. There are 5 heritages for Dragonkin. Flameheart is the standard cold resist heritage that many ancestries get. The Dragonkin runs hot, so it helps offset the cold you see. Heartbroken means that their first partner died some time ago, and that sadness has made them inured to mental effects. It's the standard +1 to saves against emotion effects, treat successes as critical successes, that sort of thing. Mercurial Dragonkin are interesting. Their bonded partners are temporary, and they get a new one at the start of a day. If these Dragonkin are mystics, they also get a bonus to heal their bonded partner. Shipborne Dragonkin are medium-sized instead of large and get a bonus to squeezing, better to survive on small, cramped starships, you see. Finally, Stormrider Dragonkin are better at flying with a 5-foot bonus to their fly speed and bonuses to acrobatics checks to fly. Some of you may be disappointed that a Dragonkin doesn't get a breath weapon or a natural attack, but they can get those through ancestry feats. They can also get a sliver of a dragon's fear aura, and of course there are feats that let Dragonkin further explore and deepen their partner bond. And as a Dragonkin levels up, they can take feats that make them more dragony, like increasing fly speed and such. Ooh, look, there's a level 17 feat called Size of the Ancients that lets them become the size of an ancient dragon. As for my opinion, first of all, love the flavor and concept. I know a lot of people out there like dragons and want to play something dragon-like, and this is a pretty good shot. Now, one downside I see is that if you're playing this in a highly episodic campaign such as Starfinder Society, then the partner bond thing is kinda useless unless you play with the same other character every single time. Or you take Mercurial Dragonkin. Also, some may be disappointed that as a Dragonkin you can't start with a fly speed, natural attack, and breath weapon, but that would be a little much I think, and you can get everything dragony if you use the Ancestry Paragon optional rule. I'll put that on screen right now. But all in all, I think this ancestry mostly gives people what they want without it being completely overpowered, at least not for Starfinder. Next up we have Kahlo, who are an aquatic species that lives on one of the moons of Bretheta, one of those gas giants in the Pact Worlds. They are known for their art and creativity, but make no mistake, they will absolutely mess you up if they have to. They are a 6 HP, medium-sized humanoid with the aquatic trait. That means that they can breathe in water, but not on land. Their land speed is only 20, but they have a swim speed of 30. They have boosts to dexterity, charisma, and a free boost with a flaw to constitution. Their special abilities are Dark Vision, and they have that hydration flaw that means that they need to submerge in water once a day or they start suffering penalties. That's not really a big deal because they can't breathe out of water, so they'll expire long before they dry out, but there's a reason for it and we'll get there. There are 4 heritages. Bloomborn Kahlo have an innate understanding of primal magic, so they can get training in the nature skill and can cast Detect Magic at will. Deep Kahlo have a type of sonar, so an imprecise echolocation sense at 30 feet that increases to 60 feet underwater. Electric Kahlo get Electric Arc as an innate cantrip, and if they cast it only on one target, they also get electricity resist for 1 round. Finally, Outworld Kahlo were born off-planet and have a slightly increased land speed. Most Kahlo ancestry feats are divided amongst 3 things. Firstly, the idea of them being artistic, such as with the body art or check it out feats. Next, there are their odd bodies, such as with the bioluminescence feat. And finally, the idea that they are good diplomats and speakers, for example, the Deep Diplomat feat. One level 1 ancestry feat I want to call attention to in particular is Surface Strider, which gives the Kahlo the amphibious trait, meaning that they can breathe in air or in water. That's where the hydration thing comes into play. Otherwise, a Kahlo has to basically run around in an inverted diving suit all the time. Finally, at level 9, some Kahlo develop a membrane that effectively acts as a wingsuit, and at level 13, this lets them fly in low or no gravity environments. As for my opinion, I like Kahlo. It's cool to see an underwater-themed ancestry that works because it's Starfinder and an inverted diving suit is a thing. I will say that I think Paizo should have given them the amphibious trait because it seems like Surface Strider is almost required to make the ancestry usable. After all, if you're locked in your own water spacesuit to be able to breathe, chances are, like, your echolocation doesn't work? Seems bad. But other than that, pretty cool. There's even some cool stuff I didn't get to mention, like Kahlo have a connection to the Lenorum, who are these weird dragon-like creatures from Pathfinder. Next up are the Sarkesians. Saresians? However it's pronounced, these are the dudes from the Diaspora, an asteroid belt in the Pact Worlds. I said this before, but the unconfirmed theory is that the planet Eox blew up their home planet, or actually their two home planets. I got that wrong in a previous video. Anyway, their planets were blown up, but somehow they survived and adapted to live in small, habitable asteroids in the Diaspora and can live in the void of space for short jaunts at a time. They are an 8 HP, large-sized humanoid. They have a land speed of 25 feet, and their boosts are Dexterity, Charisma, and a free boost with a flaw to Strength. Now, they have an odd bonus language, but before we get to that, they have two abilities that are basically both part of the same ability. When they are exposed to the vacuum of space, their body kind of converts to a survive in vacuum mode. They gain the cosmic trait, which means that they can survive in space and are immune to like normal space background radiation. They can survive this way for up to an hour. Also, while in a vacuum, they can sprout these rainbow light wings that let them fly on solar winds with a fly speed of their land speed plus 10 feet. That's why they get the Saresian sign language as a bonus language, so that they can talk to each other in the void of space where sound doesn't travel. There are 5 Saresian heritages. Asteroid Hopper can survive for 4 hours at a time in the vacuum of space instead of 1. Compact Saresians can move through spaces as if they were medium creatures. Kresh-raised Saresians are good at diplomacy, and sharp-eyed ones gain dark vision. Finally, Cosmic Saresians have some sort of cosmic awareness and gain a free cantrip from any tradition, so long as it has the light, dark, vitality, or void traits. That's a fun little idea. I really like that. A lot of Saresian feats have to do with their wings. Born to Fly makes them better flyers even when piloting a starship. Current Rider lets them partially manifest their wings in atmosphere, preventing fall damage. Their wings can shed bright light, all of that stuff. I want to call attention to Saresian weapon familiarity, though, which gives them familiarity with all sniper weapons. That's crazy. I've never seen an ancestral familiarity feat give a player familiarity with an entire classification of weaponry. Higher level Saresian feats also get pretty wild. There's one that lets them survive in space indefinitely, and a feat chain that lets them use their wings in atmosphere indefinitely too. And of course there are others. Remember, I can't cover all the feats in one video. As for my opinion, listen, while I don't particularly like the look of Saresians, I think their lore and concept are pretty cool. They're really growing on me. The big thing though is that their flight speed is based off of their land speed. That's kinda crazy. I could be wrong, but I think this is the only ancestry with a fly speed based off of land speed. So a Saresian monk or swashbuckler could fly really fast. Like I said, their weapon familiarity, giving them familiarity with all sniper weapons, is a little powerful, but I don't think it's too bad. Also, I have to say, I like all the spiritual flavoring that they do with like cosmic cantrips and glowing rainbow wings. Lastly are the Vlaka. These are a wolf-shaped alien species, but being wolf-shaped isn't just a visual thing. Vlaka are also very pact-focused and are able to provide a calming presence to those who need it, kind of like certain service dogs. They originally came from an old world orbiting a dying sun, but strangely, randomly, the sun recently reinvigorated, leading to wild solar shenanigans. Mechanically, they are a 6 HP medium-sized humanoid with boosts to Wisdom, Charisma, and a free boost with a penalty to Dexterity. Like the Saresians, they have an interesting thing with their languages, but we'll get to that. Like the Saresians again, they have 2 ancestry abilities that are linked together. Basically, a large percentage of Vlaka are born deaf, blind, or deaf and blind, which is called, as one might expect, deaf-blind. Firstly, all Vlaka gain an imprecise scent sense at 60 feet. Blind Vlaka also gain a precise hearing at range of 90 feet, meaning that they can hear with the same fidelity as a normal human sees. And deaf-blind Vlaka's scent sense becomes precise and goes out to 90 feet. Their second ability says that a Vlaka automatically knows the signed and tactile versions of all their known languages, assuming that language has a signed and tactile version. I'm assuming all you listeners know what sign language is, but you may not know that the deafblind community here on Earth and the real world has designed a language for talking through making shapes and movements with hands to allow communication. This is a tactile language. It would make sense that all Vlaka would learn these languages too, because they'd want to be able to communicate with their friends and family, no matter if they're hearing or sighted or not. There are a whopping 6 Vlaka ancestries. Empathic Vlaka are better at sensing motive, keen-sighted Vlaka have to be sighted but gain dark vision, nomadic Vlaka gain extra languages, sharp-toothed Vlaka have a bite attack, star-marked Vlaka have been blessed by their rekindled sun to emit light, and finally, wintercoat Vlaka have the standard cold resist for an ancestry. Vlaka have a wide diversity of ancestry feats. There are feats that speak to their emotional, nurturing nature, like cooperative and determined optimist. There are feats that speak to their animalistic, wolf-like side, like natural hunter and talented tracker. There are feats that deal with their senses, like expanded senses, and finally feats that deal with their Saresian solar rekindling thing, like From Hope and Siphon Solar Vitality. They can even gain the unique ability to become empathic, sensing creatures that have emotions within 30 and eventually 120 feet. As for my opinion, I know a lot of people want to play space doggos or space wolves, and this gives them that opportunity, so I am all for it. I do feel that thematically they are a bit all over the place. Like, I'm not a fan of Star Trek's thing where each alien only has one thing that they care about.
I want to be rich now.
But at the same time, being emotionally aware, having these various expanded or diminished senses, having a primal wolf thing, and the rekindled star Solarian thing is all a bit much. But I mean, I'm all for those choices, it just seems that thematically Vlaka are kinda unfocused. I'm also not quite sure how they would work mechanically in Starfinder. Neither smell nor sound travel through space, so from a purely mechanical standpoint, it would seem like a deaf or a blind Vlaka would be a bad one to take on a spacewalk. But hey, Vlaka is a great way to have more diversity awareness in the game and to help people try and get into the headspace of someone with impaired vision or hearing, and I'm all for more representation. Whew, that was a long one, but we're done for today. Let me know in the comments which of the new ancestries you are most excited for. Was it the Shapeshifters, the new Dragonkin, the best doggos, the Vlaka? Let me know. Let's get a conversation going. But until next time, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. That tells me, as well as YouTube, that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And as always, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!